O vídeo que vocês verão a seguir é o vídeo onde eu falo sobre como eu fiquei fluente em inglês com apenas 11 meses de estudo, beleza? Então o vídeo foi gravado 100% em inglês, eu já postei ele no YouTube aí há mais ou menos um ano e pouquinho atrás, mas eu estou repostando ele aqui nesse canal agora. Eu estudei inglês durante 11 meses, e aí eu parei, né, coloquei o inglês um pouquinho de lado e comecei a estudar russo. Hoje já faz 9 meses que comecei a estudar russo, e quando eu completar aí 11 meses de estudo, ou então um ano, eu vou gravar outro vídeo 100% em russo, falando pra vocês sobre como eu aprendi russo. Então é isso aí, fique com o vídeo. For those of you who don't know, I've been learning English for about 11 months, and quite a number of people are asking me how did I reach this level in such a short space of time. And although I don't think I've made some serious progress, today's video is gonna be about my method for learning languages. So the first step is to believe in what you're doing. What I mean by that is, if you don't believe that speaking from day one is the right approach when it comes to language learning, just don't do it. But if you believe that speaking from day one can actually help you to become fluent in your target language, just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna cover the following things. The first one is how do I practice speaking, and how do I build my vocabulary, and how much time do I listen to the language a day, and how much time do I read, and a couple of things I don't like doing when I'm learning a new language. Alright, so let's talk about how do I acquire vocabulary. My principal tool for vocabulary acquisition is Anki. Anki is a spaced repetition system based on flashcards, and Anki basically shows you the flashcards you don't remember quite well, and the ones you still remember will only show up to you a few days later when you will likely or almost have forgotten them. At first, I only add cards to my Anki with translations to my native language, and after I reach 4,000 cards on my Anki, I only add new cards with all the explanations and definitions on my target language, because once I have 4,000 cards on my Anki, I will be understanding the language, and I will no longer need to use translations to my native language. So if you want a tutorial on how to use Anki, just leave a comment below, because it is a pretty huge, it's a huge topic. You know, I cannot talk about that on this video. So leave a comment below if you want a tutorial on how to use Anki. Now, how do I practice speaking? At the beginning, I don't try to talk to people because I'm still a beginner, and hence I obviously don't have enough words to hold a meaningful conversation. So I don't like to talk to people as soon as I start learning a language. And I practice speaking by repeating out loud the MP3 audios I have on all my Anki cards. So whenever I'm adding new cards to my Anki, I make sure to add an MP3 audio in all my cards. So as I go through my cards on Anki, I already have an MP3 audio, so I just repeat it out loud as I go through my cards, and that's how I practice speaking. Now, this one is so important. In order to really learn the meaning of a word, we don't have to just look up the definition of the word in a dictionary and, you know, that's it. We just learned a new word. In order to really learn the meaning of a word, we have to look up the definition, and then we have, along with at least 3 examples. That's a really good point. If you can look up the definition of a word, and if you have at least 3 examples of the word being used, that's pretty great. So to learn a language, to really learn a language, we have to look up the definition of the word along with at least 3 examples, and then we have to do a lot of listening and reading so that we come across the word in real and different situations. when we listen to the language, or when we read, we are, we are seeing those words we previously looked up. So that's when we really learn the meaning of a word. And it is so important to look up the definition of a word before we read or listen to the language. At least that's how I learn words, and it has been worked pretty well for me. And that's it. Now let's see the things I don't like doing when learning a language. The first one is I have never studied grammar before. And the reason why is because I actually tried it before, and I felt like it just makes me think too much of grammar rules as I try to speak the language. So I decided to stop studying grammar because it just makes me think too much of grammar rules. And let's face it, we don't want to think about grammar, we just want to speak the language naturally, and studying grammar makes me think too much of grammar rules. So that's why I don't study grammar. But I think studying grammar is important as long as you are not a beginner anymore, and you already understand the language pretty well. So now you can buy a book in your target language, and then you can study some grammar. So I mean, you can buy a book on grammar, but the book has to be in your target language. You have to buy a book in your target language on grammar, and that's I think that's the best way to learn grammar. And by the way, I feel like it's time for me to learn some grammar. I've never used beginner materials because for me, languages are all about building up your vocabulary. And once you have a huge amount of vocabulary, you have the potential to become a good speaker. And that's all I have been doing since I started to learn English. I just learn 30 new words a day, and then I go do some listening and reading so that I can see those words being used in different and real situations. And that's it. I don't like to use beginner materials because it's boring. I don't want to see those things like, hey, how are you? I'm fine. I just don't like it. I like to build my vocabulary. I like to learn new words every day. And that's what I have been doing since I started to learn English. And if you don't agree with my approach, if you don't think that learning new words every day is gonna make me become fluent in a language, and I do have to use beginner materials, just leave a comment below telling me why you think so. And I want to learn from your experiences. That's one of the reasons I created this channel. If you think I could be doing something more efficiently, just let me know on the comment section telling me why you think I should stop doing what I'm doing right now, and why you think I should start doing the things you think I should be doing. And just teach me something. I like to learn new things. I like to see how people learn languages. This is just how I learn. It doesn't mean you have to learn the same way I learn. Just tell me on the comments how you learn languages, and that's it. See you later.